guess I should move this over here. All right. Got some Sunday action going on today. RFactor 2 is taking a long time to load for some reason. There we go. I think there's only like 13 people on, so definitely not as many as signed up. I think we had about 20 sign up. Actually, I guess it's only about 16 signed up. But still, I definitely need practice around those prototypes. And there's at least a couple people in there slower than me, so that's good. That 2023 is really close to what I can do. Looks like this is the first GT car. I thought for sure there'd be at least one person in the 58s. That's interesting. Alright, we have our race set up on. Which time? We got 40 minutes. And then there's a 30-minute qualifying, but I only actually take part in the first. Why? Is there a button to just reset the position? Not seeing anything. I have it set to WASD. I'm just not sure where it's showing here. Oh, seat. Yeah, there's no reset, unfortunately. I guess I have to try and find where we were in the car before. Kind of unfortunate. Oh, I just stalled it. I turned auto clutch off, so I might have to actually clutch it out of first gear now. Means I definitely need to try some practice starts. Definitely try those offline, obviously. Forgot I turned auto clutch off. Strategy we're going for, effectively, the race, is to do as near as we can 2 45-minute stints. So we're looking to cut the grace exactly at half and then take tires at that stint. Alright, we're gonna turn auto clutch back on. Eventually, I will probably turn it back off, but I need to get in the habit of being able to fire it back up after things like that. Those prototypes are fast. Man, are they ever fast. God, I love driving this Corvette though. Just so well balanced. This just makes it a joy to drive. Overcooked a little into that corner. I think that's a prototype. Unfortunately, through Maggots and Beckets, there's not really any space for me to let them by. On the exit of Chapel, pretty easily get by though. Basically, that's the one place a prototype never wants to catch you at. It's through Maggots, Beckets, and Chapel. Because it's really hard to go side by side through there in the first place, let alone when one of the cars, because the GT cars almost need the entire road. Whereas the prototypes definitely don't. We are on full race fuel at the moment. Trying to get a feel for how the car is going to handle the start of our race here. And if you get out there on that corner, there's no grip. Grip is right on the inside of that corner, very similar here. If you go out wide on either of those, there's just almost no grip to work with. That's another corner where the AI, where the prototypes really don't like catching you. Basically, any of the super fast corners are corners they'd rather not catch you in. They'd rather catch you going into a slow corner, if they could. But obviously, you don't really get to dictate what corner you catch somebody in. It's just where you happen to. Now, obviously, I'm going to be slower than the prototypes. So the overall gap to the front, that split, doesn't really mean much of anything in this race. Should be able to go around here really easily. 203 is not terrible for my first fast lap. Really need to be in the 202s. Have a decent shot at having anybody to race with. ones would definitely give me quite a few people to race with. That being said, it's practice, so it's always hard to know what strategy other people are on. And if they're getting clean laps while they're doing it. Because if a prototype passes you in a bad spot, there's nothing you can really do about it time-wise. So I'm guessing right about 70 liters. It's going to be about 45 minutes of fuel. I think I'm actually going to start the race with about 84. Oh, sorry, about 70, 78, I guess. Because I want to start with a little bit more for the formation lap and the standing start. Again, I'm really looking to go right about 45 minutes for the first stint. Because these tires start to go at around 30 minutes. And the last 15 is tricky. But I think that's a better strategy than just going full 60 minutes on these tires and coming in for 30. God, when you lose the rear on this, you just lose it though. One of the interesting things with endurance style racing like this though is that often you're having to look around the track a lot more because the closing speed on those prototypes is just so high. You have to know who's around you, who's coming up quickly. Like that prototype on the map there, gonna catch me before too long. There coming up. Unfortunately, they're probably going to catch me right into Maggots and Beckett's. Or maybe right after. Right after would be ideal for them. And for me. Yeah, looks like it's going to be after. Spot where the prototype downforce really helps them. I figured he'd just sweep around the outside, but I guess he figured I would just take my normal line. I did not know you could do that. I didn't know that curve was high enough to do that. Oh, that's funny. Well, now I definitely know. I didn't even notice he had just come out of the pits. Boop. Oh. That's awesome. Alright, let's throw the qualifying setup at it and see how much extra time we had. Well, actually, no, I need to... I want to see how much time this fuel gets me. So 78 gets me 51 minutes. And this is basically that fuel will be according to my previous pace. That gets me 51 minutes. It's probably still a little too much. Which is 75. That's probably perfect. So basically what we'll do is we'll take 75 at the start. And then when we come in for our pit, we'll take 75 again. So actually I want to go ahead and set that up. One of the nice things is this will automatically default my second stop, or my only stop, to be those. I think it'll also default to giving me tires. Wait, why does my qualifying setup have 75 meters in it? Oh, son of a bitch. Accidentally saved over the race setup. Or for the qualifying setup, I mean. That's annoying. 6 laps. Actually, let's put in enough for about 10 laps. Mostly because of the qualifying format that these guys do. Because basically I want enough for 15 minutes. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I guess 8-ish laps. That should be fine. Oh, and the super softs. So basically you need just enough fuel to do the full 15 minutes. Ooh, cold brakes. Not good. Time I can get out of these tires and this fuel weight though. I think this fuel weight will fit the Corvette a lot better than having it almost completely empty. Carbon's really unhappy on super low fuel, at least with my setup. Also, it just gets really, really twitchy from the rear. What direction he was going to go. But seriously, those prototypes are fast. Oh man. It's always an interesting situation when the prototypes come up on cars that are in a battle in the other category. I think I go a little too slow the first part of that corner. I tried to take it a little quicker and then the car just spins on me. So I really think that is the best speed I can get there. Ugh. Bit of a lock up there. That's the only corner I use first gear on. The third from last corner, you could almost use it. Not quite. Right, 6/10 up in one sector is good. Again, I have no idea what tire or fuel weight the other GTs are on. So I don't know if they're on race practice or qualifying practice. I guess most of them are probably on qualifying practice. But I could be completely wrong. That being said, the vast majority of people can get more out of the car in qualifying than I can anyway. It's not really my strongest part of my racecraft by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, you're up in Sector 2 also. That's good. That time. I just hate being late on the brakes for that corner. Should be a decent lap though. Yeah, lost time in the third sector. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm still not quite braking correctly for that corner. On the bright side, my pit stall is pretty far down pit lane, so I don't really have to worry about missing my pit. Although I do need to practice where the pit line, the pit speed limit starts. It starts at a really odd spot here at Silverstone to try to prevent you from gaining an advantage going through pit lane. And to try to make it safe at the same time. It starts much, much earlier than you'd expect. I almost feel like I could probably go through that corner in 5th on these tires. Even when you're missing apexes, if you just get your turn-in points right, through Maggots and Beckets, it feels amazing. Well, he started braking even earlier than I do. He just never went. Rustler. A lot of it is about hitting the right amount of brake pressure. I think even my qualifying pace is still only at a 202. So I only have like one guy I'm actually potentially battling with. Because all of these guys are too fast. Looks like there's a heck of a battle up at the top here. And then a huge gap. Then a battle. And a battle all the way back. Basically, the first 4 are close. And then the following 7 are relatively close. I mean, that's only 1 second between all 7 of those guys. Unfortunately, in GT, there's 1 second between the top 2. Then it's close for a couple. Then a gap. Then a gap. So the GT field will probably be pretty spread out. No, I have the prototype mod. In order to just participate, you have to have both of them. Because otherwise you don't have the models and the physics and all of the information for the other cars. You have to be able to actually see them to race them. But for multi-class series, I actually, as weird as it may seem, I generally enjoy being in the slower class more than being in the faster class. I'm gonna do a pit stop with fuel and tires here. Simulate a race stop. One, I want to see how long it'll take it. Two, I want to sort of get myself used to the pit lane. But multi-class 8 racing is always fun. I mean, it's most fun when you have like a crap ton of people. But even with just the 20 that we have, it should still be alright. Again, that is literally the last place on track those prototypes want to catch a GT car. Because I think the pit speed limit line is like way up there. It is. It's way up there. So you can't enter pit lane the way you really think you can. Alright, now where's my pit box? Okay, we are way up here. Good. For a stop this long, I actually probably won't turn the car off. If it's more than about 50 seconds, I'll probably turn the car off and turn it back on. But at 40, it's right on the edge. But as long as I don't rev it early, it should be alright. Nice being that close to pit exit. It really is. It's gonna be a pretty long stop, actually. I wonder how long it would be with just fuel. Probably about half that, if even that long. Those prototypes just fly through the fast corners, obviously, but it's just crazy to visually see the difference side by side. Obviously, this is not exactly how the car will feel in the race because I put some super softs back on. Whereas in the race, it'll be a set of softs and then on to another set of softs. Also, qualifying is 30 minutes long, but if you didn't see the message in the bottom left, it's actually, they do a split qualifying session. So, effectively, the GTs go out for the first 15 minutes and come in, and then the prototypes go out for the second 15 minutes. Which is a nice way to do it, because the prototypes don't have to worry about running over the GTs. The GTs don't have to worry about getting in the way of the prototypes. And it's how they actually do multi-class qualifying, so... Well, usually you have an hour, but again, with it just being a league event online, you don't really need to take a full hour for it. And you also don't have the time between where you would clean the track and get rid of all the debris and take your TV breaks and stuff. So you can condense it quite a bit. As far as I know, also, I don't think today scores any points whatsoever. It's technically just a preseason test event to get everybody in the rhythm of things. So you might see some people being a little more risky than they would be otherwise. On strategy, on overtakes, all that sort of stuff. But these super softs, when you hit those curves, it just pulls the car to the side. Very odd feeling. Even with almost full fuel in the tank, on the super softs, I'm still setting really good times. Which is surprising. I would expect these tires to really underperform this much fuel in. But I guess they are still, it is still a race tire. Well, I just set up fast for that. Maybe I should just always drive this car on full fuel. It just responds so much better to it. Whew. It's so funny. So watching my car through there, and then watch this car go through that same section. It's crazy just how different that prototype looks going through these sections. Particularly right here, the first two corners. You can really see the difference in speed. I mean, look at that. How much more downforce, which means how much more speed they're able to carry through those corners. It's crazy. Which again is why if you absolutely have to catch a GT, if you're in a prototype and you absolutely have to catch a GT car, you really want to do it in a slower section. Because if you do it in a fast section, you're generally losing a lot more time. Like through here, if you have to wait behind a GT car, it's so painful. That being said, what I think a lot of these prototype guys don't realize is they can go on the outside of us. Like if, especially through Maggots and Beckett's, in the first part of that, if they take the first right-hander right behind us, and if they just go out behind us in the second right-hander, so they follow through the first, and then the second one, if they pop out, they have just enough time with their extra downforce to get all the way around and not influence either car's entry for the Beckett's corner and through Chapel. But it's very, very, very risky, so you probably won't see anybody do it unless it's the race in towards the end. Because again, it is really, really risky. Although even then, it's even more risky because both cars will likely be on worn tires. So you might just not see anybody try that. But you actually can. You can actually do that. You can safely get around that other car. Through there. really tough to do, and both cars have to understand what's going on as you get through the end of Maggots, or it goes south real fast. Because if the GT car still tries to use all of the room on exit, there'll be a crash, and if the prototype tries to cut over too early, there will be a crash. Oh, excuse me. I really don't like the way the car feels on these super softs. It almost feels like something's wrong with the tire. Like particularly going through right-hand corners. Because it feels like the front right lifts off the ground. It's so weird. It's a feeling that I don't get from the car on softs, and particularly not when it's heavy. Synchro crashing. Oh. That's always funny. That's one of my favorite things right there about multi-class racing, though. It just forces everybody to be more aware of what's going on, which is good for me because I just need sort of practice at doing that. And two, one of the coolest things is it forces you to be more aware of different lines into, through, and out of corners. All of which are very good skills to have. And again, the more you're able to take alternate lines through corners and still be safe, the more likely you are to be able to actually race side by side with people, which is, to me at least, the most fun you can have in racing. Just getting those epic battles where you go side by side, corner after corner after corner, and nobody really can quite get enough of an advantage until one person squeaks out an advantage. And then 2 or 3 corners later, the person that then got behind tries to dive in again, and you start the whole process over again. I don't know, those battles are just super memorable and super awesome to me. Now, one thing the prototypes can use is there on the exit going through Chapel. What you see a lot of them do, what you see a lot of them have done already, is they'll sort of recognize and understand that the GT cars use all of the track to the inside, but they don't need all of the track on the outside to the exit of that corner. So they'll go ahead and start sweeping to the outside there, so that they can just easily make a run towards the outside, and it actually works really well. Like that's definitely the safest way to pass. That's the quicker car. Hey, that got me into 201s. That puts me in the category of being much more competitive with a lot of the GT drivers, which is good. Oh, it's just a standing start, no formation lap. Pull off the road here. I want to do some practice starts. This is one of the safer places to do it. Again, it's nice when you have this off-race paved area. The grip isn't going to be exactly the same as it is on the start line, but it'll be relatively close. So I can pretty much just floor it, and then I just have to wiggle it a tiny bit to keep it in line. Yeah, see, it starts to squirm the tiniest bit. Obviously, leaving that much rubber down is not ideal, but it's faster than trying to completely control that camera switch. No, no fun. This is serious business. Gotta cool myself down, relax a little bit before we get into qualifying. This should be fun. Again, the other thing is this is a preseason test event, so it is possible that not everybody showed up. Because as far as I understand, it is not mandatory to attend this race to maintain your standing in the league itself and the championship point standing. He must be doing practice. Yeah, he's doing practice starts. Okay. I was like, why in the world did he go out into the pit lane? Hey, Plex. And again, for qualifying, the first 15 is only GTE cars. Second 15 minutes is prototypes, so that we don't get in each other's ways. But with the amount of fuel I have in, I want to get out in qualifying right away. But I also have to make sure it doesn't switch to the race setup, which it might do. No, it did not. Good. Go ahead and get ourselves out to the end of pit lane. It's really nice being the first car out. It's always so fun seeing the queue also. Right about now. I gotta get everything nice and warmed up. And again, with my fuel strategy for this, I'm planning to go the entire, hopefully the entire 15 minutes out on track setting times. Because GTE cars in particular, with the URD mod, they tend to not set their fastest time until everything is sort of settled in and the heat ranges are all where they're supposed to be for multiple laps in a row. Then the core heat on everything is hot enough and settled enough, and then everything starts really coming to the forefront, and your times start getting to what they should be. The other thing is, with this strategy, I need to make sure I don't flat spot the tires and don't ruin them, if at all possible. So I need to build as much heat as I can in the tires on this outlap, but also, again, I have to make sure I don't make any silly mistakes. Because if I have to come in and change tires, then it's just, the whole idea is sort of ruined. So we'll see what we can do here. Also, I want to make sure I keep it nice and within the lines, if at all possible. brake so much earlier there than I really want to. Mostly because if I brake any later, I tend to lock up right at the entry of the corner. And I don't really want to take more out of the right front around here than I need to. Although the left front, surprisingly, is the tire that takes the most beating. That's probably one of the tougher corners on the track. So you just have to brake so far through the corner. And then you can't accelerate right away. You really have to leave it to do what it's going to do. Again, I'm expecting 201s. It's really what I'm sort of expecting for myself. It's sort of the best pace I've had, and that's what I want for qualifying. But we'll also quickly see who was on qualifying fuel and setup before, and who was on race setups. If a lot of the guys were on race setups, then they're going to have a ton more speed than I do. Hey, Paradox. Oh, a little wide there. Oh. Again, the nice thing is, with nobody in front of me and no prototypes, all I have to worry about is that one person behind. Since it's qualifying, if I really, if they get super, super close, then I can always just lift and let them by. Out 202. Not where I really want it to be. Way too early on the brakes. I still just don't get my braking point right there. 58. Yeah, I think all of them were doing 201s on race pace, so we might be boned. We might be fighting for, like, third to last. Yellow flag up ahead. Oh, it's cleared. Probably just a stall off. Hey, monkey. I don't know why I keep doing that. I never do that, Chuck. About 8 minutes left. And 202s are just too slow. Even a 201 looks like it's going to be too slow, though. I'm braking too early there. It's probably the corner I get the braking on wrong most consistently. Either too early or too late. Six tenths off, really? Oh, this is a throwaway lap then. Sort of use this lap to cool everything down, not push super hard. I thought there were 10 GTs, maybe there aren't. Well, if the IndyCar race is anything to go by, half of the field will crash out. And those will be free positions. But I have a feeling, considering it's Silverstone, that's not going to be the case around here. The other possibility is that I just have too much downforce on the car still. Because I know I'm running a lot of downforce. Mostly because the car feels so good with downforce on around here. But I would probably have to check the actual sector splits to figure that out. If you're slow in sector 2, it's very likely that you have too much on. I think the tires are past their optimal now. We made 3 Eastern, that's when this race starts. 5 minutes left. Probably should have just gone with soft tires instead of super soft. For sort of the strategy I wanted to try to use for this. Because I don't think my fronts are going to have the grip I really need them to the last 5 minutes here. See what our first sector is like here. If it's slow again, then we'll just come in and try like one hot lap. Unfortunately, I don't have a bank of engineers looking at the sector times for me ahead of time, being able to be like, okay, so you're losing time here and here and here, and here's where you can gain. So it's really useful to have an entire team of engineering staff. Only a 10th off is not too bad. Nope, that's bad though. Alright, get at least one more hot lap in. Even less fuel. Can't believe that 202 flat is still my best time. I literally did a 201.2 or 201.4 in practice. Hey, Sar. No, I don't have any telemetry software or anything. Just whatever the game has. I've looked at them before, but they're like, most of them are like the full price of another game. And for just telemetry stuff, that seems ludicrous. Like again, if it was telemetry software that doubled for real life applications, then maybe. But I don't know. I just don't feel like paying $60 for being able to actually see and record telemetry for league races. I mean, maybe if I was like the fastest person in every single race and I was aiming to try to find sponsorships or something, then maybe. But for just enjoying myself, that's a large cost for that. And the majority of the time I can just figure out what I need to from feel and whatever tools the game itself has. Alright, this is literally our last flying lap. Actually, I don't even know how this works. Because this lap will take me below... No, I'll finish it before it goes actually to 15 minutes, I think. Well, it's actually going to be pretty close. So I don't know how that's going to work. I guess realistically, if all the prototypes go out right away, then we'll be fine. Oh, it's slower anyway. So if I have to abort the lap, then that's fine. It's so odd to me to lose that much time over myself. I'm pretty positive I set that faster lap with more fuel on board also. Like I said, I swear the car feels wrong when I have less fuel in it. Well, now it probably won't count anyway. Well, there's no automatic deletion. Well, that was a faster sector too, that's for sure. But it's technically an invalid lap anyway, so... Oh! That's exactly what I want to not do in the race. It's a much tougher pit lane than you would expect. Load our race setup, so we're all set there. Right, Czar. We'll watch some of these guys, I guess. We can at least watch live footage. Time is, I don't think there's a warm-up, is there? Oh, there might be like a 5-minute warm-up. But I'm going to take this opportunity to use the restroom and get some water. So, yes, it is multi-class, and yes, these are URD P1s. Hey, simplistic. So, like I said, I'm gonna take the opportunity to use the restroom real quick, grab some water, and then should be back within 10 minutes, hopefully. So. Alright, we made it back in time. uh, let's see what my counting... My counting was off, so I'm glad I left myself some time to spare. My counting was off by about 2 minutes. Evidently my internal timer is just a little bit slower. Alright, let's see. Hey, I'm not as far down the grid as I thought I would be, so that's good. Unfortunately, the gap ahead is huge, so those 5 guys, 5 guys, those 5 guys are all definitely probably out of reach unless my strategy turns out to be better, which it probably won't be. So it's really just holding off Matthew Overton. That'll be most of my race. It's really close up at the top here though. And then again, like we saw in practice, a big gap. Then really close the rest of the way through. And yes, as far as I'm aware, these are the 2014 rebellions. It's only either the 14 or 15, I don't remember which. But the Audi was not allowed yet. I think URD themselves has said this is the only one they consider league ready. So that sort of seems to be what they're going off of. Should be an interesting race though. I mean, again, it is an hour and a half. Yeah. Yeah, the rest of us are in GT cars, which you can see a little bit easier there. I don't know why I didn't just show myself. So the rest of us are in Le GTs. They just, the CMS guys just choose to do split qualifying, which actually is a very neat way to do it, honestly. Their qualifying is basically over. What time is it? Let me see. Looks like there is probably a 5 to 10 minute warm-up, because the race the race itself isn't supposed to start until 3 p.m. Eastern. So my guess is that there probably is some form of warm-up, which will be nice because I'd love to feel the car out on this setup again. The other thing to consider also is that there might be some guys ahead of me who are on medium tires who have worse race pace than I do. Because that 202, I mean, realistically, my qualifying should have been about a 201.5, a 201.6. Alright, Paradox. Good luck in yours as well. So, if my race pace can be around a 202, it's possible that some of the guys ahead will drop further back towards my pace, particularly if they're using mediums or hards. That's almost what my strategy relies on, in a sense. Because I need to get, I need to get everything I can out of the car early. It should be interesting, though. Whew. Oh, whoops. I didn't know what that button did. Oops. So I guess that's what that button does. Normally it's grayed out. Okay, so there is a warm-up. Alright. We'll definitely go out for a bit of this warm-up. Mostly to literally warm ourselves back up. really tell what this dude's doing. It's not how you leave the pits. That would have actually been a penalty in the race. I think they do penalties afterwards, but they do enforce leaving the pits correctly. But the car just feels so much better on full view. Really does. Considering how little difference it makes for me, I probably should just start qualifying on at least medium fuel instead of low fuel. I'd probably just qualify on softs. Because I'm so much more used to the way the car feeling, to how the car feels. I'm used to the way the car feeling. So much more used to how the car feels this way. So I think I'll probably drive it better when it's in these conditions. Or at least I can get more out of it in these conditions. It looks like there's a couple people joining now who missed qualifying. If any of those are prototype drivers, that's going to be real tough at the start. I think my strategy will be pretty good though. I think it's the optimum for me and my style and for what I can get out of a car. Which is really all you can ask from the strategy you pick. I make sure I do not do that in the race. Another reason I wanted to do some practice beforehand. Or participate in warm-up, I should say. FP3. Actually, I guess most racing series don't do a final practice before the race. Most of them just do practices, qualifying, and then your race. I guess it's possible some of them do warm-up. I guess warm-up makes more sense for series that don't have enforced Parc Fermé style rules, where you can still make changes between qualifying and the thing. I guess NASCAR does, so a lot of oval series probably have some sort of final practice after qualifying. But again, most of those series are probably ones that don't require you to keep your car. Interestingly, they're all coming into the pits at the end of the laps. Like, are you not supposed to set lap times in CMS warm-up? Oh no, somebody set a lap time, okay. Just not sure why for a second there I was like, everybody's going into the pits, like am I not supposed to actually set a time? But I guess a lot of them are probably just practicing pit entries, it looks like. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong by completing a lap. I mean, I already practiced the pit stop earlier, so I don't really... I guess I can drive through it here. That wouldn't be a bad idea. not want to catch those curves. The sausage curves around here are almost as bad as they are at Portimao. Very, very rough. You just have to wait so long to put your right foot down out of that corner. It just feels like you're waiting forever in that corner, even when it's really not all that bad. Go ahead and drive through here. Give ourselves some pit in practice. We only have to do it once, so it's not the worst thing in the world if we get pit entry a little bit slow. That's sort of what you have to remind yourself for something like this. The line is right there. I guess the pit speed limit is 100 kilometers, though. That's faster than I thought it would be. We're just going to drive right through. Probably do it one more time. It's just, there's no marker for the line here, which is tough. When you've got hot tires, pitting out is super easy. You can keep your foot down. When you're pitting out with cold tires, you have to lift for the very first little right. Otherwise you have a very high tendency to spin. Which, if you spin in that pit entry, it's really bad, particularly for everybody behind you. It's another one of the reasons I kind of want to do the alternate strategy that I'm doing, where I sort of split the race in two halves, instead of just doing a full run of 60 minutes and then a 30-minute one. I have a feeling that will be the dominant strategy, where people just fill their cars, throw medium tires in, and they just take 30 minutes worth of fuel at the hour mark of the race. So I'd really like to not have to be in the pits when everybody else is in the pits, if at all possible. Exactly, as he said, in multi-class racing, the best thing you can do as the slower class is just be very, very predictable and be aware of what's going on around you. If a car is trying to make a move, just take your line your way. Because they will have a very good idea of what your car is going to do through corners anyway, and then they can adjust for that. Whereas if you make any last-minute moves, it's really hard for them to adjust to that. Yeah, he got his computer mostly fixed. I don't think he got Project Cars working at any point, but outside of that, he got it working well enough. My pit stall is somewhere in here. Oh, it's right here. That's handy. It still had it visible for me. It's such a tough pit entry here, like much tougher than you expect it to be. God, these cars look good though. Alright, so this is our strategy. 75 liters, drain it, put 75 more in, and slap another set of softs on. Whew. Yeah, unfortunately it seems like that's not very popular among world racers anymore. I'm contemplating running a series with 100 bullets, though. Unfortunately, they don't let you use custom liveries, which is really, really intensely disappointing for me. That's one of my favorite things about running leagues and stuff like that is being able to do that, but that could potentially be somewhere that you might be able to race also.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
Here we go. Oh, on the bright side, there's no formation lap, so I don't have to worry about that. Oh, I was looking at that, and they said they specifically say you're not allowed to use custom liveries. I wonder if they had issues with it last season, and that's why they're not allowing it now. Yeah, that's one of the problems with most league racing, unfortunately, is a lot of the people are very, very quick. It's a similar issue here, where a lot of these guys are very, very quick. Here we go, though. There's no formation lap, it's just the start of the race. Got a good start there. Leave room. Oh, man. Oh, that car really popped out of nowhere. Well, that was unfortunate. Well, I got a good start and then I lost all those positions with some wheel spin. Yeah, my guess is they probably had, for replays and stuff, with every car showing as white, or every car showing as the same custom livery. If you have that one, they probably were not a fan of that. Which personally, I don't mind. Every single car has Hamster Racing on it, I'm fine with that. But anyway, yeah, it's one of the difficulties with league racing in general is, unfortunately, a lot of the medium speed, slow speed guys tend to not do it. So most of the league racers and most of the leagues, period, will have nothing but fast people. It's one of the nice things. It's one of the really nice things about revs is that they have a very big range of drivers, and there's almost always some people to race with. Again, it's one of the reasons it'd be nice if more of the racing game communities would start banding together more and trying to get bigger and bigger grids instead of separating more and more. These guys up here are being a little aggressive, so we're going to be careful. I also find it kind of disappointing that in a 20-some-odd car grid, there's 2 Martini liveries. Like, really, guys? You can't be more original. I don't know, personally, I like racing my own colors more than actual corporations' colors anyway. I mean, that's like as much as I like Red Bull liveries, I'm not ever going to put a Red Bull livery on my car. Well, unless they pay me lots of money. Then I'll slap Red Bull crap everywhere. I don't even care. I'll slap it on my freaking forehead. They give me enough money. But their color combination is really, really strong, which is nice. That deep blue with the deep purple and then the yellow and white accents, it works really well. Funny thing is, I don't like energy drinks themselves at all. Like, none of them. Yeah, GoPro has GoPro has colors that match really well with mine anyway. But I don't use any of their products. But I mean, they literally have almost the same colors I use anyway, just take away the black. And add a potential second shade of slightly lighter blue. But they don't flat out sponsor very many cars. They're usually a sub-sponsor, if anything. No, I do not. I don't like heights in the first place, so the idea of jumping out of a plane is not something that appeals to me. I mean, it's something I might do at some point in my lifetime, but I would have to be pretty well done with everything else in my life up to that point to be willing to risk dying in a very unpleasant way. It's one of those funny things where a lot of people are like, oh, do that stuff while you're young. It's like, yeah, except if you do it while you're young and something goes wrong and you splat on the earth, then you've missed out on so much. Why not wait till you're like 50 or 60 when you have plenty of money to just throw away and you've already done a bunch of crap with your life and then just go, alright, I'll skydive now. Like, that makes so much more sense to me. Or riskier stuff like that, anyway. I think my biggest goal for this race is to just try and be as safe and smooth as possible, really. So it looks like some of these guys are going to get in some pretty heated battles, probably wear down tires and use extra fuel. So probably anything in the 203s is going to be decent enough. I also really want to try to avoid a lot of the risky curves, particularly this early on. So we're not taking any unnecessary risks in the race at this point. I expect this Porsche to get by me pretty quick. He was pretty far forward. I mean, that is very true. Once you splat, you're not aware of anything, so can't really miss stuff that you don't experience. Wow, how did he get into that corner so fast? I genuinely have no idea how he got into that corner at that speed without sliding. I think I want to start experimenting with stiffer setups again. It really seems like I've heard a lot of people say before that you really want to start your setup as stiff as you can possibly take it and then make it softer if you have to, whereas I tend to make it soft right at the start. I think I want to start experimenting with that idea and start by making the front understeer to make the car do what I want, instead of trying to make the rear understeer do what I want. Because particularly for quick changes of direction like there, the stiffer your car is there, the better off you'll be, because the car isn't rolling from side to side as much, so it doesn't take as long to transition directions. Where it hurts a little bit would be a corner like this, whereas you come over that crest, the stiff suspension doesn't want to give at all. I'm guessing it probably outweighs the downsides though. It's just so tough because I don't like having to control my right foot. I like to be lazy with my right foot. 203 is alright. 7.5 is a bit much. The main competition I expected was from Overton, but looks like he's way back there. Right now I'm just trying to take it nice and safe and smooth. Sort of get into my rhythm of my own speed in a sense. the other trick is you don't really know, I mean, you don't know at all what strategies the other people are on, what tires they're on, what fuel they're on, if they're running a short stint first, if they're running a long stint first, if they're going to change tires, what tire compound they're even on. Although knowing what tire compound they're on might make you a little depressed sometimes if you learn some of the guys that are 2 seconds a lap quicker than you were on hards or mediums. Although I guess on the bright side, with my soft suspension, I don't wear my tires as much. The car rolls from side to side a bit more, giving the tire more time to squash out. Whereas a stiff suspension is definitely going to push the tire harder. It's going to rely more on that mechanical grip. 203-1's alright. A little bit more consistently quick with each lap, basically. Completely missed that apex though. Unfortunately, the guy behind is definitely faster in a lot of these corners. Oh, there's P1. I think, anyway. Yeah. Yes, it is. So what lap are we on? On like lap 3 or 4. The prototypes are already coming back around. Now basically on the mini-map, anybody with a white number, a white or greenish thing, those are going to be the prototypes. The one with an actual green circle is the leader. Blue circles are people behind you. And those white circles are people that are ahead of you on, and that shows that white circle with the number shows their position. If somebody made a mistake. Oh, that was the leader. Oh, man. Stuff is happening here. Oh, that's not the place I want the prototype to pass. But with that mistake I made, I don't blame him for taking that opportunity. This is one of the main reasons that I like multiclass racing, though. I'm going to have to lift a little bit there to keep it on the inside. Because again, everything changes. The car behind me, for this entire sequence of cars, can no longer think, okay, attack, attack, attack. He has to think, I need to make sure these prototypes don't hit me, and if an opportunity presents itself, I can then try and attack. But again, his thinking completely changes from 100% attack to, let's make sure our car survives, and if some crazy opportunity arises, we'll take it. And then once everything cools back down, then you get back in your own rhythm, in your own little battle and race. Oh, now there's 2 prototypes duking it out. Oh, this is not ideal. Luckily, they sorted out their order. Again, it makes your awareness so much, you need to be so much more aware. I was trying to let him by on the outside. He didn't want to take the route, because it looked like that's the direction he was trying to go. And he should go on the outside here, very easily. Because naturally, you want to get to the outside there for the entry into Maggots and Beckett's. But it looked like, oh, that's a GT car. I think that was for position. But it looked like that prototype wanted the outside, so I was trying to stay towards the inside, but then it looked like he wasn't quite sure that he was going to clear me in time. I probably could have just gone back out to the outside and taken my normal route. Again, it's so hard to feel what that other car is actually going to do without being able to directly communicate with them. There's another GT car. Unfortunately, Hall is now right back up to my bumper effectively. A 1 second difference in GTs is not very much. But on the bright side, I'm now right up close to Hamilton here, who I think is the Aston Martin that got a poor start and then quickly got right back around me. More prototypes coming through. Should be able to sweep around me, hopefully before the corner. Nope, he's gonna wait. Now they'll sweep around the right side. Again, this is why I love multi-class racing, by the way. Even with just 20 people, there's still so much traffic to work through and worry about. And it changes everything. It's, I don't know, I love it. I wish every single race everywhere was always multi-class, but you do need a decent amount of people to actually make it interesting. I mean, if you only have like 2 people in each class, then there's not much there. Now, the absolute best is when you can have like 20 people per class and you have 4 classes on track. That's the absolute best, but that doesn't happen very often. Doesn't happen very often in real life, let alone in games. Oh, I'm still not getting through that corner well at all. One of these times, Hall is going to have enough of a run to really make a dive for it there. Another prototype coming through. I don't like when they do that, by the way. When they just shoot over the track like that. Almost gave Hall an opening there. Luckily for me, that's a very hard corner to pass on the outside of. I think he will get me sooner rather than later, but my goal here is to just hold him off as long as possible. I feel like I actually have less downforce on him or something, because I'm faster in a straight line. Which is odd to me, because I have a lot of downforce on the car. Oh, I got through there real well that time. As you can see by the gap that grew, it's a very important sequence of corners to get right. Because this is a good overtaking opportunity if you can stay close through Maggots and Beckets. Because even if you don't pass there, you can still get a very good run into this very slow corner. And as long as you get the inside there, you can usually stay ahead through those 2 corners. It would sort of surprise me though if he had more downforce, considering I was faster through Maggots and Beckets. Which is effectively where you want all the downforce in the world on the car. It's a really bad curve to hit. It's very, very big and it really upsets the car. That sequence I evidently get through atrociously. Every single car beats me through there. Like, just every single car. That being said, my car doesn't really get into the corner all that well, so that might be part of it. Or I'm just not able to attack the corner like some of the other guys can. God, I can attack those corners though. Oh, he got through there well that time. Still don't think he's quite close enough to generate a run. Oh, that was way too inside. You get that corner sequence right, it's fun. It's tough though. There's a GT car pitting. Hey, ever so slightly our fastest lap. So bad at those two corners. If he ever gets a run through that first corner, I'm pretty well boned in that next section. Little slide there. It's just odd. It seems like on the exit of the corner in particular, I'm faster than almost every single exit. Somebody left? Huh. Wonder why. Almost wonder if they threw it in a wall or something. Like, that's really the only reason to leave, I guess, unless you get disconnected. If you actually just ruin your engine somehow. Now I got through Maggots and Beckons poorly that time. Or at least he got through there better. Yeah, mid-corner to off, I beat him. Into the corners, he definitely beats me. And that might just be a matter of braking. Again, if he's carrying more downforce, he would have more efficient braking. Or if he's able to keep his brakes in a better temperature range, that would also cause more efficient braking. But the fact that I can beat him off of the corners is really odd. Because if he's carrying more downforce, he should be able to hook up the rears pretty easily on throttle. Alright, we've got prototypes coming through again. Different leader of the race this time. It's one of the other sort of fun things about multi-class is you sort of get an idea of what's going on in the rest of the race also. So it looks like the gentleman who had pole has not gotten back. Has not gotten back his positions after that mistake he made. Looks like he's not even in second. Most of the prototypes were really patient through here, which is nice, and then they'll pass you here on exit on the right hand side. You just leave them tons of room. Alright, that's not what that prototype should have done. It's really, really crappy. I think he's still mad after the mistake he made or something. I'm really glad I made the decision to stay on the left-hand side, though. What I wanted to do was cut back, because that's the line I take for that corner. He just threw his car there. On the bright side, it seems like Hall is not dealing with the traffic as well as we are. So that is good for us. Unfortunately, as soon as the traffic clears, it catches right back up. And I have a very strong feeling if he managed to get by me, he would probably just sail off into the distance. It's one of those situations where I really need to try and keep him behind as long as possible. We still have about 25 minutes before our pit stop. Prototype coming up. Should be able to go by on the right-hand side. And should have one passing us on the not on the left. Should have sucked through on the right-hand side. You can sort of see when the prototypes are actually battling for positions, they make much, much, much worse decisions than they do early on in the race. Because the actual faster way for him to get through that corner would have been to come out on the right-hand side, coming out of that corner. And again, it's one of those things where in the slower class you need to be predictable, but a lot of people misunderstand that the faster class also needs to be predictable. That was almost a huge disaster, holy cow. I just caught that tiny bit of grass and had to really, really get into my brake pedal. That was a scary moment. We survived though. For now. And luckily we don't have a flat spot in front of it, or at least not a major one. Because I have no vibration at all right now, which is good. That would have taken quite a bit of life out of that left front though. Almost a third of the way in, just 2.5 minutes. Again, yet another reason that multiclass is a little more exciting is normally in this race, it would have just been me and B Hall the entire time, which is interesting, but not nearly as interesting as all of the action you get with the other class flying around. So it feels like there's been enough action for an entire hour-and-a-half long race. We're only a third of the way through. Oh, didn't get the exit I wanted there. Now, judging by the sort of cycle and flow of the race so far, we should have probably another lap of clean racing. Or, I should say, alone racing. Just the GTs, and then prototypes will likely come through again. But it depends. There's at least a couple people that have started making pit stops. Again, like I said, one of the very viable strategies is to go about 30 minutes into the race on a set of softs or super softs, pit, get those tires off, and then just come in. Hey, at 202. That's sort of the pace I want the whole time. Still braking too early there. It just causes so many issues, because then your choice is either get back on the accelerator and really ruin the corner, or that curb, which is very risky. I thought Hall was going to make his move there. If he had, I definitely would have left the apex open, but again, I'm new to the CMS Racing people, so you might not quite know that I would have done that. Minutes down. Oh, that's going to cost me a lot of time. The first time I've gone outside the lines there. I feel like I'm not getting the same top speed out of the car all of a sudden. And there, it felt like it's lifting its right front again. I guess I am getting low on fuel now. It's going to be lighter. I guess this is really the part of the stint where the car starts to feel really unsettled. Which again is where having a stiffer suspension would definitely help. Because it would tend to keep the car more predictable through its fuel life. It's also possible it's just the tire. I guess my left front is at 68%, so it might be a lot of just the tire. That lockup really took a ton of life out of that tire, holy cow. That was better braking, still a little too early. Better. Prototype's coming up, they'll probably duck to the inside here. Nope. If he had gotten there before that corner, I would have easily given him the inside. But if I'm already making my turn in, I'm going to take the apex. Should be able to sweep around the outside here, unless he's not going to. Ah, that works too. That was actually probably a smarter way to do it, what he did there. Just stay behind, take sort of a later apex, and then just sweep under. Prototype's having a bit of an issue there. I wasn't quite sure where he was going to go, so I stayed most towards the inside until he showed what direction he was going to go, and then I shot. Then I just eased to the other side of the road. I have to be really careful in that corner, because now that my tires are starting to get more worn, it's going to become increasingly easy to do what I just did there. It's probably the single corner where my car is most unstable around this entire circuit. And I still have 15 minutes before I want to pit. So to try and make my strategy work, I really need to go the full fuel load here. I think I'm just going to ease off my entry speed a little bit for some of these corners, or potentially stay on the brake a little bit longer. Use that to create understeer. Because the fronts just are not grabbing the tarmac like I need them to. And again, it's mostly that front left, which really that giant lockup is what would have taken the bulk of the life out of it. Because right now it should probably be about 70, 77-ish, judging from my long run the other day. It's all the way down to 66. The person left. And I'm not quite sure why the people are leaving unless they just threw their cars into barriers, which is pretty hard to do around here. There's so much runoff area. Just always disappointed when people give up, though, for whatever reason. But I guess if you're having a completely miserable time, I can understand not wanting to continue. I think sometimes you should, just because you never know. You might still at least have a battle. But I guess if you're like 2 laps behind everybody else, the vast majority of people would just call it a day at that point. There we go. Just having to be so careful there. It looks like, luckily it looks like Hall behind me is having similar tire sort of problems. We do have the leader coming up on us again. Let's go ahead and give him the inside here. Unfortunately, that let Hall get right up here. I should have just taken the apex, but that's alright. Sometimes you make good decisions, sometimes you make bad ones. 'Tis the nature of being a human being. Ugh. Rears are also starting to get the tiniest bit more. So I'm not pulling out of the corners like I was before. Which unfortunately is the one place I was definitely beating Hall before. Not quite as much anymore. And that's where I really lean on the left front hard. And it's where it really shows, because you can see just how more into the corner his car still can go. How much more he can still lean on that. I would almost guess that he has mediums on, in all honesty. Alright, prototype here, he should sweep around my left. Oh, I went in a little hot. Oh. We made it stick though. Oh, went in way too hot. Wow. I'm glad I maintained control. That could have been so much worse. Like I said, that's probably my least consistent corner. This is probably my second least consistent corner. And my third least consistent corner. And unfortunately, all of them are effectively in the same quadrant of the track. I know the splits say otherwise, but effectively they're in the same sector. Not the easiest time for those cars to catch me there. I still have at least 5 minutes that I need to go on this tank of fuel. And I'd prefer to take this tank all the way down. So that I have... basically so I have the better tires for longer on the last stint. But this is the time where this setup really starts to not be good at all. Once it gets low on fuel. It seemed like really, as soon as it hit 30 liters, the car really started behaving unfavorably. And it just gets worse as the fuel goes down. And unfortunately, it seems like the car behind me is the exact opposite. The lower the fuel goes, the better he gets. Although I am making a lot of mistakes right now. So that's at least part of why he's charging so hard. I just have to get on the brakes so hard to slow it down. It might be worth going into first gear then. Well, I guess that's going to make the car even less stable on the throttle. It's probably worth staying in second. I don't know, at this point there's no reason to really try it. Yeah, 204 is too slow. regardless of the eventual outcome, this is a great battle, though. I mean, from his perspective, it's probably very annoying. But again, from my perspective, it's all about trying as hard as I can to keep him behind me. Which means getting the best exits I can every single corner. Because that's the only place I'm faster than him. Particularly with my tires in the state they're in. Now the other thing to consider is if he is on medium tires, then my second stint, towards the end of his stint, he will start feeling like this. And for most of my second stint, my car is going to be very happy. So I'm sort of splitting up the time period where my car is behaving like it is now into 2 chunks. Whereas on the medium tire, you'll have 1 chunk of that. If you're on the hard tire, you won't have it at all. Well, you'll have it sort of the entire race instead. Or the entire race, your car is just lacking grip everywhere. Really, I guess more than anything, it's just the entry of the corners that becomes so poor when I lose front grip. Because the middle and exit the car is still great. Right here on entry, I just have to go so much slower on low fuel. I really need to stop doing that. I finally create a gap and then I throw the gap away by doing that out of that corner. Stressful race though. At the same time, I'm trying to watch my fuel to see when I actually need to come in. 'Cause I absolutely have to go beyond 45 minutes. I mean, I technically don't have to, but I really, well, actually I do. Because with the fuel I started with, that's the exact amount of fuel I'm putting into the car. It looks like the AI is, or the automatic timing thing is trying to call me in now, but we're definitely not coming in now. I didn't even notice that it did that. Well, I'm lucky. I'm glad I noticed that beforehand, though. But there is a prototype coming. Oh, the car's washing out there. Oh man. Whew. I think I could go 1 more lap at least. It'll be very, very interesting to see Hall's strategy. If he's taking the full 60 minutes or not. Because again, if you completely fill the car on fuel, when you first start the race, you should be able to go about 55 to 60 minutes into the race before you need to stop. And if you are doing that strategy, more likely than not, you're also, oh, he got through there well. You're probably also on mediums. Oh, there he's gonna take his chance. Probably get it. Again, my car is just not happy on deceleration anymore. But I still get out of the corner real well. He was tired of staring at the HR on the back. I mean, look at this. I'm faster than him in a straight line. I definitely don't have the tires to really challenge right here. So we're probably just going to have to follow him for this lap. And then we're coming in on the next lap. Because that'll take us beyond the 45, which is exactly what I need. And this is exactly what these tires are going to feel like at the end of the race also. The other thing is following a car is actually much harder, I think, than leading. Because your brake points are almost always obscured. So feel becomes almost more important than seeing your brake point. I'm not sure why he didn't sweep around the outside. I just wish they would all do the same things. And then next lap we come in. He's not pulling away though. I honestly thought he would. I thought he would just soar off into the distance.
The lap was a 2:04.82.
We're both pushing really hard. His braking for this corner in particular is definitely is much, much better than mine. There's a prototype coming. Oh. Yeah, my fronts are just done for. I like the two Italian colored prototypes. At least much better than the boring full red ones. I almost think I'm just more aggressive through Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel than Hall is. Because he doesn't take them poorly. But I definitely gain on him through that section. This is probably going to be the closest I'm ever cutting a race like this on fuel. He's probably super happy to see me duck in the pits here. He's like, oh, thank God the pressure's off, at least for a few laps. Whew.
The lap was a 2:03.70.
Alright. Oh, my fuel is longer than last time, than when I practiced it. That's interesting. Still right on the edge of turning the car off. I think temperature-wise we'll be fine. I think we're okay to leave it on. It looks like almost nobody took the early pit strategy. Yeah, water temp is fine, so we can leave it on. Whew. Such a stressful race. Such a good race, though. Fresh, cold tires. And there's a prototype coming, because of course there is. Just be very, very, very careful these first few corners. So I want to get up to speed quickly, but the last thing I want to do is spin. Because now more than anything is when the battle between me and Hall becomes a thing, basically. A lot of it depends on both of our in-laps and out-laps. And the different strategies that we're on. On the bright side, the softs heat up pretty quickly. By the end of this outlap, I should be able to be right back to my pace. should have taken a drink while I was in the pits. But the big thing is to not overheat the car also in this situation. Oh, that was the guy who had pole. He just quit. That's interesting. Maybe he kept making mistakes or something. Oh, that sort of thing is definitely what I want to avoid. Sliding the tires in any way. It generates heat, but it generates bad heat. Alright, now we settle back in for the second half of the race. It almost feels like the race should be over at this point instead of just getting into the second half. How much has gone on? It's sort of a blessing and a curse in this situation where I almost wish I was still right next to Hall, because I think racing right next to him was keeping me consistent and a little bit quicker probably than just being out here on my own will be. Still not hitting that corner correctly. Probably wait until after this corner. Yeah, you will. Sweep to the inside. It's nice when the prototypes are actually predictable. Once again, as much as the faster category generally talks about, oh, I wish the GTs were more predictable, it's like that streak goes both ways. One of the worst things ever is when 90% of the prototype field passes you through a certain corner in one way, but then there's those one or two people that pass in a completely different way. This makes it so much tougher. I don't know where I was going there. My brain just completely farted and I thought I was already going into maggots and Beckett's. Oh, hooray brain. Now, I'm going into maggots and Beckett's. Once again, I'm able to be much more competitive than I thought I was, which is good. I thought I was going to get outclassed by most of the GT field and just be on my own the entire time. But it seems like CMS might still work out as a fun place to race. Again, it would be nice if we had like 20 more people still, but on the bright side, my tires are nice and fresh, so for about 25 to 30 minutes, I don't have to worry about those next to last two corners at all. They only really become super tricky when the tires start to get worn. Paul has still not made a pit stop, by the way, but he's only 53 seconds ahead. Well, I guess he's a full 53 seconds ahead. So I guess my pit stop in its entirety was probably about 57 seconds, including the amount of time I lost on pit road itself. So I think I'm actually gaining on him right now. But again, if he doesn't take tires, then he's only going to need about a 25 to 30 second stop. So if he has to take tires, I have him covered. If he doesn't take tires, then he's going to come out close to Hamilton instead of close to me. So in case of that situation, I really need to try and not overcook everything, but I definitely need to try and push now. On the bright side, the car behind I have a minute to, so I don't have to worry about him at all. I mean, he would have to put in some crazy lap times, and very consistently crazy lap times, to have any chance of making that up in the time left. Although he has made 2 pit stops, which means Overton is definitely quick. Because he's made 2 pit stops and he's still only 1 position behind me, which means after his first stop he was far enough ahead that it didn't matter. Or he had a penalty, one or the other. those are possible. Although I don't know if game penalties are on.
That was a 2:03.32.
Leader is coming up on me pretty soon here, which I can tell by the, oh, he's in the pits, okay, never mind. Basically, at the very top, you can see that 4 point something. That's basically how many laps I am behind to the leader. So the closer that gets to 5, the closer the leader is to getting back to me. There's another prototype between us right now, though. Ooh, it looks like there's a battle on for like first, second, third back there. I need to stop watching that. It's so hard because I'm such a motorsport fan that I'm like, ooh, what's going on at the front of the field? But I need to at least 80% concentrate on what I'm doing here. Now the gap between me and Hall is definitely coming down, so that's good. That is the direction I need it to go. I'm expecting him to pit any time. Because again, that first, if you fill the car completely full, it only lasts about 60 minutes. Now another possibility is that he was following me sort of on purpose to try and save fuel. I don't think that was the case, considering he did eventually pass me. But it is a possibility. I'm just gonna stay all the way to the left here. Basically back out of the corner a little early because I know I'm going to have to take a later apex than I normally do. There's another one coming. Fortunately, this is sort of the time of the race where a lot of the prototypes will start to get a little less patient. So you have to be a little more diligent being in the slower category. That being said, some of them, like Mikado, I actually like what he did. He flashed his lights twice to sort of let me know, hey, I intend to overtake you before the next corner. And as long as you do that very quickly and short, and you don't keep flashing them over and over again, then it's actually a really nice indicator to the other car that, hey, I plan to overtake you before the next corner. Prepare accordingly. Evidently something happened to John Nelson. Then he just quit out of the race. The funny thing is, Jay Rabin there on the leaderboard, I'm still technically behind him because he's one of the prototype drivers. So I think I have one more lap before I get ahead of him. So it's one of those funny things where if you're a prototype and you crash out late enough in the race, you could theoretically still finish pretty high up if the GT cars just don't have enough time to get back around you. Oh, Hall's in the pits, Oh, this is when we know. Rustler, you beat me to it. Oh. I have a very bad feeling he's only taking fuel. But we'll see. And even if he only takes fuel, it's still going to be close enough to, I think, at least be a race towards the end. I don't like this prototype doing this. No, he is taking tires. Yes. He's exiting right now. This is going to be real close. Look, he's right there. Oh, that's awesome. The gap is almost exactly the same as when we went in the pits. Look at that. That is awesome. Unfortunately, that means he took tires, which means he might be faster than he was earlier. Because he might have gone from mediums to softs. But his tires will be cold for a few corners.
Unfortunately, in 25 minutes, my tires will be very, very unhappy. But again, if he took softs, he might have me at the end. If he took super softs, it's going to be really close. If he took mediums, it'll be... If he took mediums, I think I have him, but there was no reason for him to take mediums. That would have just flat out have been the wrong choice of tire. Although I can't say that. If his car and setup feels best on mediums, then it can still be an okay choice. But if your car feels good on mediums, it should feel good on softs. The only tire that drastically changes things is the hard and the super soft. Both of those feel different enough to warrant a few setup changes sometimes. All right. I'm gonna try and keep that gap as big as I can. Because if the last stint is any indication... Oh, I wonder if any speeding in the pits penalty. Because he just had to pit again. That would be super unfortunate. We'll see when he comes back out if he, yeah, he's 6 seconds back, yeah. He must have sped into the pits or in the pits. That sucks for him. On the bright side, it gives us breathing room. Because as you can see, it only cost him about 8 total seconds. Oh, that hurts though. We'll see how it shakes out. Unfortunately, now it's up to me to be clean and consistent, which, as we all know, is never a safe bet. Ever. Oh. But we'll do what we can. It's gonna be an intense finish. What I hope he still pushes. Because if he just gives up and settles in, that would be disappointing. I don't think he'll do that. But you never know. Either way, the fact that the two different strategies still worked out to be right next to each other after the pit stops is pretty freaking awesome. Once again, between multiclass racing and actually having to make strategy calls, all of that combines, at least to me, to make a much more entertaining session. Just having a sprint race. I don't know, sprint races to me just aren't exciting at all. Oh, I broke way too early there. The other thing is I can't really relax into a slower pace. Because I know for a fact Hall definitely has equal or better to my pace. So I have to stay in it.
0.68.
So I can't just relax and dial it back. I have to keep safely pushing. Although that being said, I definitely don't have to push my tires as hard as I would have if he was only about a second behind. That being said, I do want to try and use my tires when they're at their best now, without abusing them. Obviously, you don't want to overuse your tires by any means, because that just puts you in the situation I was in earlier, where my tires are completely shot and done for, but I've still got like 10 minutes left. But at the same time, you also don't want to sort of waste the time period where your tires are at their optimal. So it's that really fine line between using them too much and burning through them, or not using them enough and then wasting that extra time in hand you have over the harder compound tires. That being said, it also greatly depends on your opponents. That's very much what you see in Formula 1 right now, where a lot of times a car is capable of doing 1 to 2 second faster laps, but because they're not being pushed from behind, the better strategy for them is to actually just relax in to a slower relax into a slower speed and make the tires last 4 or 5 more laps. Now in GT racing like this, particularly with these GTE tires, it's not really anywhere near as much of a concern. I think that car was a lap behind me. 2:03.5 is enough. As you can see, I basically just want the gap at the line to be as close as possible to 10 seconds or more between me and Hall. Because the gap definitely rubber bands as we go through the lap. Through this first section, he gains back, then I pull a little bit back out again, and then he gains a little bit back, and then in that last sector in particular, I seem to pull back out. Basically, any of the long straightaways, I seem to have an advantage on. And through the corners, he seems to be better. I think what makes it most fun is that we're in the same car also. So I know it's a combination of our different setups and our different styles that are creating these almost identical lap times. "23 minutes. This is a prototype. Hopefully he gets by me before, or chooses just not to do it. And it's so hard to tell if the prototype is actually going to back out of that, or if they're going to dive for it. And likewise, it's hard for them to tell if they're going to clear you before it, or if they're going to have to wait. That situation in particular is so tough for multi-class racing on Silverstone. Unfortunately, the first brake marker there got deleted by somebody. So it makes braking for Stowe a little bit tougher than it needs to be. But at least the other brake markers there. If both brake markers for Stowe disappear, it becomes very, 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 very hard to brake for that corner. Like, very hard. Uh-oh. Little bit of curve there. Nothing too crazy. Every time I look up, I'm like, oh, please let there be like 10 minutes gone. And there's like half a minute gone since I last looked. I am opening up the gap a little bit, but again, this is sort of similar to what happened in the first stint, where at the beginning of the tire run, I was faster than Hall, and then towards the end, he started pushing hard. Unfortunately, Hamilton is just extending the gap. We don't need those stinking brake markers. God, they're so helpful, though. Oh. Oof. I gotta be careful. If I accelerate too hard while I'm on the curbing here, it will really throw the car sideways, which, one, very dangerous, obviously. Two, more importantly, it will take a lot of life out of the loaded front tire, which is not ideal. I keep having to remind myself that's the brake marker I brake at. Like, my brain doesn't catch up with the situation until I'm at the brake marker. And it's like, oh right, there's only one of these. I mean, again, for over an hour, you see the exact same brake marker in exactly the same place, and then suddenly, you have to completely adjust. Alright, this is the leader coming up on us. We should be able to get through the first corner, and he will likely take us in the second or into the braking zone. Probably into the braking zone. We'll try and keep it a little shallow here. Give him plenty of room on the inside. Hey, Brussels. I am not first in class, not anywhere near it. But for the bulk of this race, I had a very, very good battle going with Hall. Unfortunately, he had a drive-through after our pit stops, which really was unfortunate because I pitted at 45 minutes. Basically, I cut the race in half, 45-45, with a double set of soft tires, and Hall took a full load of fuel and pitted at 60 minutes, and then I don't know what tire he's on now. I would assume at least a soft, if not a super soft. But anyway, even after the different strategy, different tire strategy, different fuel strategy, different race strategy, when he came out of the pits, the gap was almost identical, just a tiny bit over 1 second to what it was before we went in the pits. So unfortunately he had a penalty, and now it's bouncing between 8 and 10 seconds, but I just love when stuff like that works out. Oh, I hope this car waits. Please go to the outside, please. All right, good. Oh, car. That is my demon corner, effectively. That third from last corner. It almost spun me like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it was an epic battle at the start. I mean, literally, basically the entire first stint, the entire 45 minutes, was him just right on my booty. And then right as I was, like, literally 1 lap before I was going to pit, he finally got around me. Right as I ducked into the pits, basically. He is pushing now. He's getting the gap smaller. Well, in terms of the curbs, it's sort of just an issue with GT cars in general, and it depends on the track, the curb, and in this instance, it depends on the game also. Like in Assetto Corsa, you almost can't use any curbs, period, ever. You have to really, I mean, you have to genuinely just set up the car to be able to take the curbs if you want to do it, or be much better than I am, one or the other. Whereas in RFactor, there's a few curbs that you can use no matter your setup, again, depending on the track. And then there's some curbs that you have to just avoid. But at the same time, as with most cars and curbs, if you just completely leave off the throttle, or at least have very little throttle while you're over the curb, it really settles the car down also. So if you don't want to have to change your setup, you can also sort of adjust your driving a bit to still be able to use the curb without having to drastically change the balance on the car. I mean, that being said, as with most things, if you really want to use the curbs and the curbs are high and aggressive, you just soften the car all the way around. Or in particular, you could also usually raise the car up, ride height-wise, to give it more clearance and to give the suspension more ability to cope with what it needs to do. 204 is too slow. That explains why Hall is catching me. My lap time dropped. But part of that is also I dealt with traffic for 2 laps in a row. Or I should say I was traffic for 2 laps in a row for the prototypes. Oh, he's pushing hard. This is about when I thought his tire would come to life, which means he's probably on the soft. So he's effectively got 15-minute fresher tires than mine. He might be able to close this gap before the end here. What it also means is if he didn't have a penalty, he might have already been past me by now. But that being said, he had a really tough time getting around me the first time. Because his car is very, very good into the corner. But his car was not very good on the straightaways. So I was able to just pull completely pull away from his car out of the corners and down the straights, which around Silverstone makes it tricky to use your quickness into the corner when you can't stay with somebody going down the straight, because then you can't really line up a pass, get alongside and brake. We'd have to almost dive bomb instead, or wait for a mistake, which is what he did the first time when I made that huge mistake. Well, not huge, but big enough. My nemesis corner. My tire wear is much better than last time, though. On that first stint, I had that massive lockup, and at exactly this point in the run, my front was already at like 66. So my estimation last time wasn't too far off, where I said the front tire should be at around 78. Or did I say 76? Either way, my estimation was not too far off. I completely blew that corner, so just... Unfortunately, I outbroke myself into that one, and I didn't know what the prototype was going to do, so I didn't want to turn in, which is the last thing he wanted. He wanted me to turn in. Brake a little bit early. Whew. Luckily, he's not directly battling with anybody right now. But it did cost me a lot of time, because Hall is only 6 seconds back now. I need to stop making mistakes. Which means I'm thinking about it, which means I'll probably just do more. Just need to settle back down. Get back into my rhythm and my feeling with it. God, it doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter what car it is. Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel are just one of my favorite corner sequences in all of racing. When your car feels good there, it feels real good. It's almost a shame that this isn't a points round. It's just a preseason test round. I have a strong feeling I'm probably not going to do this well at some of the other events. It's just a combo I know so well. Oh, I got the gap back out to 7. Still doing 204s, so he must have lost a little pace also. This corner in particular, Hall is much, much better into, and this corner as well. He was really getting close to my bumper on both of those corners. I'd still be super interested to see what his setup was. I still think he's probably carrying more downforce, but I'm not sure. It'd be neat to actually see the differences. It could just be that his setup is stiffer, but at the same time, I don't think it is, because he doesn't get through Maggots and Beckett's better. And if his setup was stiffer, he would theoretically be much faster through there. Because his car would change directions really well. Not carried as much speed through there as I could. But I guess that's also saving my tire a little bit. My front left. My poor front left. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was a moment. That probably looked like almost nothing. But the car literally slid through the entirety of the first corner there. Like it didn't grip at all, it just went. And it's little moments like that that don't look like anything, but can lead to big consequences. Particularly with tire wear, if you have to lock them up. Oh, he really threw it in there. Now this GT car behind me is not for position. I think he's actually coming up to lap me is what it looks like. Which is pretty crazy. I didn't think I'd get lapped by a GT car. I just blew that corner. Oh. 10 minutes left. Calm down. Oh. Almost there. Again, my car hates low fuel and it hates worn tires, so this is when the car becomes much more of a handful, which unfortunately is really when I need it to become much less of a handful. That didn't cost me all that much time to haul though. Still, it cost me a little bit, but not an immense amount. I'm gonna have to start leaning on the tire a bit more through cops there. Don't really have a choice anymore. Now he should wait until Chapel to go by. Right here. Yep. Yeah, all of these are URD cars. The URD GTEs and the URD prototypes. One of the two Rebellion prototypes, I don't remember which year. Come on. Just 4 more laps. That's all I have left, 4 more laps. 2047, actually not that bad. That's the pace I had, that's around the pace I had before when I was maintaining with Hall. I think I'm just gonna have to brake a little early for a couple of these corners to be safe and take it down to like a 204.8, probably. Ooh, he really chopped a lot of time out of me there. But again, it's hard to tell because his car and setup were better into the corners than mine was. And mine was better on the straights. Or is, I should say. Well, I say was because I don't know what tire compound he's on now. What compound he was on. You can see the gap also stutters around a little bit as cars come through different areas of the track. That's one of the reasons I sort of tend to put the most stock in it when I'm going across the start-finish straight. Just gave it a dab of brake there going in, because it looked like he wanted to pass before the corner. Oh. My car's not happy through Maggots and Beckett's anymore. Not at all. That curve is so sketchy. Unfortunately, with the problems I'm now having with the tires and just the balance on the car, I'm pretty sure, I'm sure Hall is looking at exactly the same gap I am. And I'm thinking, I just have to survive 6 more minutes. He's thinking, I have 6 more minutes to get it done. Oh man, this is gonna be a lot closer than I thought it would. I thought that 10-second gap would be more than enough. I feel like he's used his tires really efficiently also to have this much pace left at the end. But considering his pit stop length, he definitely took tires in the stop. And considering his pace in the first stint, I think he went mediums and then softs. I think. It's possible he's on super softs, but they should be junk by now. Because after about 20 minutes, they're already down to like 85–70%. And once those tires start getting worn, they lose all of their efficiency. And we pulled out a little bit here. This is sort of the section of the track I expect to generate a bit of a gap, or pull out more of the gap. I need to stop doing that. That's just gonna get more and more dangerous. Once again, it probably doesn't look like much of anything, but I clipped that little bit of that green painted area behind the curve, and the car just loses all grip from all 4 tires at once. It makes it really, really, really scary. Brussels, right? The frustrating part is Hall has erased most of that himself. It's been a few mistakes here. I mean, he can see me, and he can see me now, so he's got the smell of the hunt. 2 more laps. Oh man. Well, I guess it depends on where the leader is. Oh, I'm braking way too early for that corner. I need to be safe in that corner, but not that safe. I was being over-conservative. That could cost me about a second alone. Oh no, come on! Oh. If worst comes to worst, it's just 1 position, but I really want to keep it now. Mostly just because the battle's been so good. So as per usual, I mean, I will defend as cleanly and as nicely as I can. This is going to be a heck of a last 2 laps. I do think if he hadn't had that drive-through, he probably would have just had the position at some point here, though. Although in the first stint, driving with him right behind me actually made me maybe do overall less mistakes than I did otherwise. So it might have done a similar effect. Got through there well this time. I'm actually praying for traffic. Come on. Anything. Alright, the gap is still at 2 seconds. Unfortunately, no matter where the leader is, I am going to get back around again for another lap. So this is not going to be the last lap, unfortunately. A little lockup from the front right there. But that got me through the corner much more efficiently than the previous lap. If I can keep the gap 2 seconds through that sector, then I can definitely open it through the rest of the lap. There is a prototype coming. It should wait. It'll probably do the over-under here, I would guess. Because I usually take away the inside, and they'll usually just wait and take the shorter exit path. Oh, he washed out there. That was weird. Alright, just taking that side. Go ahead. Go, 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 go! He does not have the straight line speed that I expected. Normally they just come flying around you in there. Guess he might be on really worn tires by now. I guess he could have aero damage, a whole number of things. Oh man, the gap's only 1.1. Why did I look at the gap? Oh, why did I look at the gap? Now, again, I'm pretty sure I have 1 more lap to do. I should not have prayed for traffic. Traffic was a bad choice. Once more. He halved the gap that time.
0.01.
Like I said, this is going to be a hell of a last few laps. It is not disappointed so far. Now on the bright side, we were both racing around each other for so much of that first stint that he should know my braking points really, really well. Which is actually a detriment for me, but it's also good because there's very little chance of him really throwing his car in a crazy fashion at a corner, not knowing where I'm going to brake. So it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's good because I think the chance of him punting or diving me is much lower than it would be if this was somebody who hadn't raced around me earlier. On the downside, it means he knows where I'm weakest. Because he followed me for a solid, like, 30 minutes. At least. Just a few more corners. Just a few more corners. He's quick through this section. Oh, he slid a little bit. But there's no prototype traffic to help me. It's just me and him. Or I should say there's no prototype traffic to interfere. Oh, I got a bit of better exit there. Now he knows I'm pretty weak here, but it's really hard unless you're already alongside to make a move. All right, come on, one more corner. Just be safe. Oh. Whew. Oh man. Oh man. Man. That was awesome. I think that's our GT leader doing donuts there. Whew. I'm guessing he liked that battle too, considering he came up here. Oh. Whew. Yeah, that was a blast. He loved it too. Oh man. Whew. That was intense. That was awesome. Ugh. If he had not had that drive-through penalty, he definitely would have had me. Whew. All the adrenaline. Which is, I mean, some people would be like, why are you so hyped up about that? It's just a game. It's like, yeah, but it was awesome. Doesn't mean it can't be exciting and interesting. My my fuel strategy worked out well, which is good. That's easily the best fuel strategy I've had. Really, probably in any of these endurance races I've done. I just want to see that last lap again. How many laps did we end up doing? 44, so it's ahead of this. I think it's gonna be the lap after this. God, he was charging so hard. Also, it'd be really nice just one of these times. Oh, it looks like the session moved on, so I'll have to load the replay if I want to view that. It'd be really nice one of these times if I could do just one of these races where my vision wasn't screwy and doubled 20 minutes in. Like I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but seriously, like I can see the front of the car clearly, then everything beyond that point is like literally double. Like I can hardly see any of it until I'm right on top of it. So the vast majority of what I'm doing is just on feel. I just can't see very much of it. We can delete that one. That's the very short practice we were just in. I do want to see that last lap though, from the outside view. But again, it'd be really nice if one of these times I could have it be nice and clear the entire race instead of having double vision. Because it's still drivable, but it's much tougher than it needs to be, particularly when looking in the mirror. Makes it much harder to predict where that car, how fast that car is going. Ugh. That was a Sunday workout and a half. That's literally the most intense endurance race I've done, period. Like I've never had a battle that close for almost the entire hour and a half. I mean, you can see here, this is Hall. This is Brian Hall right here. This is lap 4, and that's him right there. The entire first half of the race, just right next to each other. He never quite had the pace to make it stick, even with a few of my mistakes here and there. Until right about... I'm trying to see. The gap kept opening and closing as different stuff would happen. Trying to see where he got around me the first time. I just don't remember what lap it was. Here it was. So I make a relatively minor mistake, but he is able to take advantage of it into the first sector. So it's funny. I made the joke at one point in the race that he's probably getting tired of looking at the HR on the back of my car. I still take too shallow of an entry into that third to last corner. I just noticed. But he was right on my bumper here. I knew it. And that corner went okay. But then braking for this corner, he knew from previous experience that he brakes better than me, and you can see he just completely outbrakes me. And I don't have any choice but to let him by. Luckily, I pitted the lap after this one that we're on now. So it evened out. The crazy thing though is then when he ends up coming out of the pits, which is much, much later, because I pitted at 45 minutes. He pitted at 60 minutes in. No, that's past it. I guess the easiest way is to just see my lap times. Oh, it doesn't store your lap times. Oh, that's disappointing. I was just going to see what lap I came in on. And I guess I can sort of try and see where... No, because he was right behind me after it. Trying to see in the background if I can see him. So I guess it was, because I think that's him. I think that was after his drive-through.
So maybe lap 33? Because I don't see him anywhere here, and he should have been right on my bumper. Because he came out like a second behind me. It was so close. Because literally when I came around this corner and he was coming out of the pits, he was right here. Like he was exiting as I was exiting. Maybe it was lap 34 then? Which again, considering how close the gap was at the end, means he easily had the pace to get me. But I wonder if that's him there. I guess let me try and figure it out. So at about 2 minutes a lap, 60 minutes would have been... I guess I'm probably past it, so it probably would have been around lap 29-ish. Oh yeah, there it is. So into lap 29. So I pitted at 45 minutes, he pitted at 60. And even with the difference in strategy, you'll see it. It comes out to be so close when he comes out. And if he had been that close, if he hadn't had the drive-through penalty, if he had been that close the whole time, I think not only would he have gotten around me, I think he would have been able to pull away this time. The first time, he didn't pull away. But considering the pace he had at the end there, I'm pretty sure this time he would have been able to. Oh, that looks so awesome. Multiclass racing is amazing. It really is. Again, unfortunately, you need a lot of people to do it, so it doesn't happen very well. You need a lot of people to make it fun. There he is. So this is how close. Completely different tire strategies, different fuel strategies. That's how close it still was after the pit stop. So awesome to me. I absolutely love situations like that. All right, and then we'll see the very last lap. So I guess it was lap 44. Usually when you come across the line, it ticks off another lap, regardless of if you actually completed it or not. Oh, I should have stopped my recording. Oh well. Just have to cut it down. Oh, I went over the line a little bit there. Yeah, so we did actually do 44 laps, because I haven't lifted here. Okay, this is the corner I was most scared of, because you can see how much of the gap he closes in just that one single corner. And likewise, that corner he gets through very, very well also. But then I get, even at this point in the race, I was still getting better exits and better straight speeds than he was getting. So my assumption is still that he's carrying more downforce. And probably, I guess he just had his brakes in a better operating temperature. Because you start with exactly the same brake. I guess it's possible he was using a stronger ABS maybe. But he was definitely better on the brakes than I was for a lot of the corners. But again, my advantage down the straights meant that he wasn't able to use it. Because he carries a lot more speed through cops there also. And then my favorite corners. It's so nice because you drop a gear, you lift off. I mean, you tap the brake, drop a gear, then accelerate out. Tap the brakes, drop a gear, accelerate out. You do that 3 times in succession. If you do it right, you get the perfect smooth line through all of them. It just feels incredible when you get it right. The S's at Coda are similar, but not quite the same because you don't you drop one gear as you first enter them, and then you drop a gear as you exit them. So they're a little bit different, but they have that same flow feel to them. Although I'm terrible at the Coda ones. God, I was so close at the end. Oh man. Phew.
awesome. All right. What time is it? Oh man, I was actually planning on painting an IndyCar livery, but I think I might still do that, but I'm gonna take a break, relax for a little bit, let my eyes get back to being able to see. Because again, still, particularly my right eye. My left eye's all right now, but my right eye, like both of those cars, even in that situation, like this is what's sort of hard to explain. Even right here, that car, if I only use my right eye, that car is still a little bit blurry. Whereas this one's completely fine. Monkey. Oh, that's awesome. So anyway, I will probably be back at some point tonight. I have no idea when. My guess would be probably an hour or two. Oh, you mean when you've actually been there? Yeah. It seems like a well-designed seating area. And again, it's flat enough that you should be able to see, particularly if you're high up in the stands, you can probably see a lot of the track. But anyway, probably be back in an hour or two, I would guess, because I do want to do that livery tonight. So we'll see. But that was a hell of a lot of fun. But like I said, I don't know when. I will tweet about it, but it's just gonna be, I'm just gonna be making a livery. So for the vast majority of you, that won't be very interesting. But that is fine. Anyway, that was stupid fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. That was awesome. And the livery turned out good for this car. The more I see it, the more I like it, so that's good. So anyway, at least for now, as always, thank you all very much for stopping by. Like I said, I hope you all had a great time. It was awesome for me. And as always, I will see you guys later.